Good morning and welcome back to Watch Your Step, Sister to Sister, ages 16 to 18 for the Second Bethlehem Baptist Association United Congress of Christian Education session for 2022. My name is Dowanna Howard Thomas, and we're going to go ahead and get started for the second day of our session. And again, this is the course for Watch Your Step, Sister to Sister, ages 16 to 18. On yesterday, we established that for the purposes of this class, we are going to focus on the word step in our course title, Watch Your Step. The letter S on yesterday we discussed, S is for set, which is the first letter of the word step. Again, that is set. So yesterday we discussed setting your goals. Today we are going to focus on the letters T and E. And for purposes of this course, we're going to say that we are tracking and evaluating the progress. And that's the progress of the goals that were set as we discussed on yesterday. So with setting your goals, just as a brief recap from yesterday, we must make sure as Christians and followers of the word that we're preparing ourselves daily, physically, as well as on our spiritual side as well. We want to make sure that we are always presentable inside and outside. Before I continue, I would like to just show a quick video to just assist you if you've never personally set a goal, with just some key points of things to think about when setting goals. This video is very self-explanatory, but it just gives you some key thoughts. I'm sure at your ages, most of you have probably sat down by now with a guidance counselor or even a leader at the church, even a Sunday school teacher, and talked about different ways of setting personal goals as well as professional goals as far as when you're out of school, etc. So if you'll just look on for just a couple of minutes as we watch this video.
Thanks for stopping by. This is 2 Minute Classroom, and today we're going to talk about goal setting for students using 4 key steps. We all have goals that we want to achieve as students. Maybe it's to get straight A's, or maybe to get into a certain university after high school, or a high-paying job.
Oh, I apologize.
After college, or maybe your goal is just to pass your classes. Let me know what some of your goals are in the comments below and in the community tab. Now let's get into it. Step 1 is to select a goal. This is the easy step. For example, you may have a goal to get at least a 3.5 GPA in all your...
I'm going to actually stop it for just a moment, and I apologize. I actually clicked on the link, and when I clicked on the link, unfortunately, it stopped you from being able to see it. So I'm going to start it again. So I do apologize for that. What I may have done to actually stop that. So I apologize. I'm over here clicking on my keyboard.
Thanks.
I'm gonna try and make it a little bit bigger for you so you can actually see it and follow along.
Thanks for stopping by. This is 2 Minute Classroom, and today we're going to talk about goal setting for students using 4 key steps. We all have goals that we want to achieve as students. Maybe it's to get straight A's, or maybe to get into a certain university after high school, or a high-paying job after college, or maybe your goal is just to pass your classes. Let me know what some of your goals are in the comments below and in the community tab. Now let's get into it. Step 1 is to select a goal. This is the easy step. For example, you may have a goal to get at least a 3.5 GPA in all your courses this semester. Great goal. Step 2 is to define your motivation. Why do you want your goal? Maybe you want a 3.5 GPA to be eligible for sports. Maybe it's to get into a decent college. Or maybe it's just to keep your parents happy. Whatever it is, the motivation is what will drive you to accomplish the goal, especially if you get discouraged. Think of it as your reward for accomplishing the goal. Step 3 is to break the goal down. So you want at least a 3.5 GPA. How are you going to do it? By setting smaller goals that build up to the larger goal. This could be things like take notes in every class, study for at least an hour every day, no late assignments, attend every class, etc. I can't overemphasize the importance of this step. Accomplishing goals is a lot like eating an elephant. And how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, of course. So breaking your goal down into bite-sized chunks helps you understand what you need to do to reach your goal and gives you the roadmap to get there. Step 4 is to write it down. If you really want to accomplish a goal, it needs to be top of mind. So you need to see it regularly, probably every day. So write down the goal, the motivation, and some of the main sub-goals and post it in a prominent place. This could be in your room, your car, your bathroom, or better yet, all three. I have my goals for my YouTube channel posted on the wall right in front of my desk where I work on my videos. I see it all the time and I'm constantly reminded of what I want, why I want it, and what I need to do to get it. If one of your goals is related to doing well in your classes, consider subscribing and checking out my other videos. I look forward.
So thank you for watching that particular video. As I shared, I just wanted to make sure that each of us actually have set goals, know exactly what goes into it when we are actually sharing a goal with, look at me. I'm just having all kinds of problems today. Sorry about that. So that to make sure that we know the tools to use when setting a goal, or the things that we should think about when setting goals, whether it's, again, a personal goal, a professional goal, whatever that goal is. There's not anything too small or too big as far as when it comes to setting goals. Just to recap the video, I'm not sure if there were any problems since I was having issues on my end. I just want to briefly recap what was stated in the video. And again, this is just one tool to use when thinking about setting your goals. In the video, the gentleman explained that there are 4 steps. The first step is actually selecting your goal, deciding on the goal that you have in mind. Once you actually decide on the goal that you have in mind, so again, setting a goal, the second step is to define your motivation. Why do you want to accomplish this goal? What would it benefit you to accomplish this goal? He pointed out a great point that this step is also ultimately your reward. So by accomplishing this goal, you're going to get what it is that you want after you answer that question, why. The step number 3 was to break the goal down, come up with steps and ways to accomplish. And item 4 is to write it down. I'm sure most of you are familiar with, planners that you may use in your class setting at school. But I encourage each of you to also get a planner as well as a journal for your personal things. Just tracking your daily progress, tracking exactly what you have going on. I personally, even as an adult, I still carry around. I actually have 2 planners that I carry around. I carry around a personal planner and I carry around a planner that I have for my small business. That's in addition to my 8 to 5 work life planner that I use. I'm just only referencing personal planners. The advantage of planning is you know what's going on from day to day. Yes, you're young. Yes, your memory is great, but it's that great possibility of forgetting about something until the last minute, especially when you're juggling so many other things. You're involved, I'm sure. You're 16 to 18. So I'm sure you're very involved in high school, whether it's attending athletic events, participating in clubs, or on the cheerleading squad, or with student government, whatever it is, as well as your involvement in the community and at your local churches. I'm sure you all are very active. So as a result, sometimes we may forget the little things that we commit to, or that we decide that we want to do, or an engagement that's coming up. Yes, it is Lindsay's birthday, but may not remember that her celebration is 2 weeks after that. So just to have a planner, to not overbook yourself, not to be overwhelmed, not to be stressed, because we all know, as we discussed on yesterday, it's important when we're going through our daily routine of getting ourselves physically dressed. So we want to make sure that we are always prepared. So again, I encourage you, get a planner, get a journal. If you don't have a planner, get a piece of paper, some index cards. You're writing it down just so that you have it there visual. Another thing, while we're talking about writing those things down, is also a vision board. If you've never done a vision board, I encourage you to look it up. It's something that you can do at your church, with a youth leader there. Ask them, can they host a night just to do, or, use part of the Sunday school hour, or Wednesday night Bible study, for example, to do a vision board, just so that you're able to put things on paper, as far as it relates to things that you are interested in, and that you would like to accomplish. So please, 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 always, once you set your goal, it's important to write it down, have some type of visual. Another thing that you could do, if you're not interested in, keeping a planner or journal, another thing that you can do is put it in your phone. I know that most times, everyone, pretty much all of us, regardless of the age group, if you have an electronic device, you're leaving the house with it. So that's another way to actually, record things. There's a note feature in your phone. There's all different type of things where you're able to put it in black and white, and with our step today, track and evaluate your progress. So it's so many different opportunities to ensure your success in this process. Okay, so as I stated, today we are going to discuss the T and E in STEP. And again, our session is entitled Watch Your Step. So for the T and E, the T is for track, the E is for evaluate. So as it relates to goals, we want to, after we set those goals, after we write them down, we want to track, meaning we want to make sure that we're measuring our progress, as well as evaluating. When you're evaluating something, it could be positive as well as negatives that come out of the evaluation, not necessarily just negative, because you're having to review it. So with tracking, there are different things you can do. If you are into, again, writing things down in a journal, that's a good way. If you're utilizing the steps that were in the 2-minute video, because you have actually written it down, your goals, written it down, and you've broken down the goals. So you've taken the time to determine what steps are necessary to accomplish your goal. For example, losing weight, only because it's a common topic amongst everybody, especially my age group. So when you're talking about losing weight, you want to measure your progress. So yes, I've written it down. My way to track and evaluate may be part of my breakdown for my goal may have been to eat healthier. So I may track my daily eating, my daily water intake, my daily exercising. Okay. I also may decide a certain day of the week to get on the scale. Those are all things that are going to help me track it. Within the tracking, it goes hand in hand, is the evaluating part. I may be able to look and see, hey, Dowanna, yes, you wrote down that you did X, Y, and Z, but you're not sticking to the plan, which is why when you stand on the scale, every Wednesday, that's why you're not seeing any type of progress, because yes, you're writing it down. Yes, you're tracking it, but you're not really following the plan. So it's important to track and evaluate. And just like we discussed on yesterday, oftentimes when we are reviewing and evaluating and looking over, it's a possibility that we may need to explore some other options. We may need to decide on some other things to incorporate, embrace, some new habits, some new things, as we go along, still with the mindset of accomplishing your goal. Okay, so to our next slide. So the best way that I thought to present and the idea for our session was to be able to discuss different ways for the age group for 16 to 18, things that we do on a daily basis that will help us to track and evaluate. Okay, so one of the things that I know that a lot of us do often is we use social media, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Snapchat, I believe is what it's called. And again, it may be many, many more that I'm not familiar with. But for purposes of our discussion, I wanted to relate us setting goals, tracking to what we are doing on a daily basis, some of us, which is posting on social media. Okay, so similar to your goal setting, when you put something down on paper, it's a visual for yourself as well as it could be visuals for others. In the social media setting, and before I move on, for those that may not have social media, because there are some 16-year-olds in here, and I'm not sure if your parents allow any of those social media accounts, this will also go hand in hand with sending a text message to a friend or any other ways of communicating. But the same way that we will say to someone, did you see that post that Ashley put up yesterday? Did you see that picture? Did you see what she was wearing? Did you see who was in the post? Or the picture or the video. So when someone is uploading something to social media, they're putting it in writing. It's something that is now out there. It's being published. Okay. And once it's uploaded, we may not personally be the ones that's tracking what occurs on the other end with other viewers, but the different sites or social media outlets that we may be using actually tracks it on our behalf. So when I say track, for example, someone on Facebook may give a thumbs up or may choose some of the other emojis, the heart or the sad face or whatever it is. It's something that's used to track that particular post. And as a result, if you give me just a moment, I'm going to stop because I noticed a couple people came in. I want to make sure it's not any students. Welcome, everyone. I apologize for not seeing you sooner, but I just wanted to stop to make sure it wasn't any young ladies that were in here between 16 and 18. So to move forward, again, it's not necessarily, and let me set my screen up. I stopped and you see what happens. Sorry, Ms. Dowanna isn't as technology advanced as each of you. So let me get out of here. Hold on. I apologize. I do apologize. Now I hate that I stopped. Let me get back to my slide and If I can move, there you are. There we are. I apologize about that. So what I was stating, I was on the next screen. There we are. So what I was stating is, while we may not personally be tracking our progress, the different sites are. So for example, the example that I was just giving was on Facebook. You have the different emojis, you have the different things that you're able to select that will allow you to see, for example, if someone loved it, if someone just gave a thumbs up, if it was a wow, oh, I'm surprised, that type of expression. It also, which is something that I'm recently learning, and I'm sure you all are familiar with it, as teenagers, but one of the things that it also does is it'll show the responses as well as possibly a view. And I'm learning that that's doing it on the profile picture. I wish you all were here to tell me more about it, because it would be a great discussion. But it shows on there how someone may look at it, but not necessarily make a comment, and the comment, not necessarily just a written comment, but even responding to it by selecting one of the emojis. So it's just a different way of Facebook now tracking those different things. As well as on the side of Instagram. I'm not as familiar with the Instagram. I do have a page only because my son has one and I like to follow. I'm one of those mothers that pops in. So to be able to go on there as well, you are able to see the differences with the tracking device. So just like when we are setting our goals and when we are writing things down, the same way that the social media platform has the different things that are monitoring, we're able to do that on a personal level as well when we're doing our goals. And it causes us to go in and maybe decide to do something differently. For example, you may have posted a picture today that did not get as many likes or comments as you did a few weeks ago. So we tend to, when those things happen, maybe look at it to say, hey, was there a problem? Did my shirt not look right? We tend to want to reflect on what occurred. Why this time was it different than before? So with actually our goal setting and tracking and evaluating, it's similar in that we're able to, as the example that I gave earlier with Dowanna maybe wanting to lose weight, yes, I'm tracking what I'm doing, but that does not necessarily mean that I'm doing the best. Yes, I'm tracking what I'm eating, but did I slip in something, that maybe I should not have? And there may be a problem or something that I may need to change. And exactly the same way that what we discussed on yesterday, with your outfit changes and everything, you may decide, oh, those shoes will go better, with this outfit. So change it up as necessary. So in the process of tracking and evaluating, you will be evaluating your choices, exploring consequences or things that may have occurred, as well as embracing new habits. As with everything, we also want to look on our spiritual side. Yes, we're writing goals, we're planning for the future, but we cannot do those things without including and making sure that our spiritual side is also up to par. The same way we discussed on yesterday, making sure that when you leave the house, you're looking good on the outside. We need to check those accessories on the inside as well on the spiritual side. We want to make sure that our attitude is in check. We want to just make sure that we are ready to just show God to others without necessarily just reading scriptures, which is fine to do as well, but they should know without you saying that you are a child of God with just the way that you're carrying yourself. So with making your plans, with making your goals, with tracking and evaluating, do not forget that side of it as well. Make sure that it is lining up with your walk with Christ. And if you are having, any problems or concerns, as I shared before, get with your parents, who can definitely set up a meeting with your pastor, or other, youth pastor leaders in the church. So definitely do not try to do it alone. When you are tracking and evaluating, there may be some things that, you find that may be a struggle. And you can't do it on your own. So we all may need help at some point. Don't be afraid to reach out, ask for help. Yes, it may be something as simple as, Miss Dowanna, listen, I'm having trouble with this. How does it relate to church? It does. How does it relate to my walk with Christ? It does. And the reason it does is because there are different scriptures, different examples in the Bible that helps us to directly relate how we are responding to situations, how we're handling situations, as well as sometimes may allow you to redirect yourself, even in some of the goals that you're setting. That may not be the plan that God has for you. That may not truly be, your purpose. Looking into and allowing you, when you're speaking with your pastor and youth leaders, maybe, to help you identify those gifts and talents that God has given you to incorporate in some of your goal setting and things for the future. So definitely do not leave that out. Do not think, okay, it's just something dealing with school and it's not related to your Christian walk, because it is. It's something that you're also able to use in the kingdom. So definitely always speak with your parents, who can assist you with scheduling something with your pastors and other leaders. We're not going to do the exercise, so let's go to the next slide. So as shared on yesterday, there are always scriptures, there's so many examples in the Bible of different things that will help us with our daily life. It's an accessory. Always have your scriptures. Be ready. When you're planning, when you are going over your goals and everything, one of the things that I do on a daily basis that you may find helpful is when I'm planning, as I mentioned earlier, scheduling it. Scheduling. One of the things that I always do is I set aside a time in the morning. The reason I do that is because I know me. If I don't do it, I tend, because of my busy schedule, I will do it later in the evening, which is fine, but I may, instead of doing it for an hour, focusing on an hour, reading and praying and, working on my spiritual life, I may, in the evening, because I'm tired, may decide to only do it for 30 minutes. So to ensure that I am giving my best and making sure that I'm communicating and talking with God, I've decided to utilize that time in the morning. That makes sure that I'm starting my day off right. As we discussed on yesterday, I'm not worried about my inside. I've dressed that up as well, because I've taken the time to give God, his time, as well as to communicate with him, to read and study his word in the mornings. Can I add some more time? Of course I can. We can all, add more time with, talking to God, because, we are his children. And just like our parents here on earth, we want to give everything to our children. God wants the same from us. So definitely, when you're planning, set aside some time that you're actually spending time with God intentionally, not just because you're tracking and evaluating and things seem to not be working out, which is fine to talk with him then as well, but make sure that you're constantly talking with him, not just only when there's a problem. So here are a few scriptures that I would like to go over that are not the only ones as it relates to our discussion this week, but there are some that you're able to utilize that will help you when you are setting your goals, when you are tracking them, evaluating, and just thinking about your overall everything. So the first one is Psalms 24, and I'm going to read it. It says, "May he give you the desire of your heart and make all your plans succeed." This is a prayer that a verse, I apologize, that I pray often. It's something that even over my own goals, and even with my son and my husband and other family members, when they're working on something in their own lives, this is definitely a scripture that is a good go-to. To just make sure, it says again, may he give you the desire of your heart and make all your plans succeed. Again, that's God telling you he wants to give you the desires of your heart. The next scripture is Second Chronicles 15:7, and it says, "But as for you, be strong and do not give up, for your work will be rewarded." When I'm initially setting a goal, this is an awesome reminder that whatever it is that I'm setting, it's going to work. It's going to work. It's going to take strength. And I may at some point feel like giving up, but the endurance and the strength will definitely be rewarded. So it's definitely, again, another good keeper, another reference. The next one is Ephesians 3:20. And it says, "Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us." I'm sure you all have heard that many times at the church, but don't be afraid to dream big. Our dreams and purposes are not limited to our own capabilities. So this verse is just reminding us that we serve a God who can do much, much, much more. And we must remember to not forget that he's able to do whatever it is he wants to do, when he wants to do it, and how he wants to do it. We just have to be in constant communication with him. The next verse is Proverbs 3:5-6, and it says, "Trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight." I try so hard to make sense of my life. I'm always wanting A plus B to equal C every single time. But with setting goals and just in general in life, we must remember that our own perspective isn't big enough to give us the whole picture. We don't know everything. We don't know what the outcome is going to be. But when things don't make sense to us, remember, we can always depend on the truth to make sense in the Lord. So when we are being obedient to him and when we're placing our steps on his path, he will make our path straight. So just remember, again, it takes, while it may be something simple to you, I'm working this part-time job to save for these new shoes for school. It still takes God in all of it. You still have to communicate with him from something as simple as, well, what we may think is simple as ensuring that your parents have gas in the car to get you to work that day, as well as to make sure you're getting there safely. You have to make sure that everything is in harmony. So don't forget to continue to communicate with God. And our next scripture is Proverbs 16:3. "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and he will establish your plans. This is also a very, 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 very important step that I try to be intentional about doing with everything as well. We must commit all of our plans to the Lord and trust and surrender that he is going to work it all out. Yes, at this age, you're thinking, well, Miss Dowanna, you're saying, that we have to do this all the time. Yes, talk to God the same way that you spend time texting or uploading on social media and doing things. Include God. Talk with him. Ask him to direct your path. It's very simple, I promise. Get with your pastors at the church. They can definitely help you. So our next scripture is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. This verse is just so much for me. It's easy at times for us to feel like everything depends on us. If I don't plan this right, if I don't dream this right, or if I don't do this right, I am going to be the person that's at fault for everything falling apart. But that's not what God's word says for us. It's not on our shoulders. The Lord wants to plan everything for us. He knows the plans for us. It says plans to prosper me, giving me hope and a future. So just know that the Lord knows the plan. Yes, you may have the goal, you may have set this, and this, but the Lord knows the big picture, as I shared earlier. We do not have the ability to see the whole picture, but God does. And when we are in relation with him and communicating with him, there is no problems at all. So the last verse that's on this slide is James 1:5. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. I lack wisdom. I'm still in the growing process. My daddy will tell me all the time, Dowanna, think about it. I am quick to want to help, want to do things, put additional things on my plate, but I may not know what my next step should be. But we all serve a God who loves, who enjoys blessing us abundantly as he leads us. So that's the most important part. We have to allow him to lead us to be able to have access to his blessings daily, every moment of our lives. He wants that for us. He desires to bless us. So we have to make it a point, make it a priority rather, to study his word, to make sure that everything that we're doing, we're giving him the glory in it, and that we are doing it because it's part of our purpose. So as I wrap it up, I know we didn't stop for the break, but since we do not have any actual students in the age group on the call, I decided that it was best to just continue with it. But for those of you that are listening to the recording, just remember that it's important that you are constantly growing spiritually, watching your step. Yes, it sounds simple, but as we shared on day one, it could come as a warning for you literally falling or to prevent someone from falling, but also to make sure that you are behaving properly as well, that you're not being disrespectful, that your whole self is that's pleasing to the Lord. So in closing, make sure that you are watching your step. S is for set, T is for track, E is for evaluate. And it's my hope that you will join us tomorrow as we talk about P for plan in STEP. Pastor Blunt, it shows that you're still on. Do you have...
Yes, ma'am. I'm right here listening at the S, T,
Do you
E,
have
and
any
waiting for the
questions
plan.
or comments or anything that you would like to add with your level of wisdom? Is there anything that you would like to share for our young ladies who may listen to this recording later?
I think that it is good that you are saying, especially when you was on Proverbs 16, and you gave an example about a young lady may say, do I need to talk to God about every single thing? And the truth of it is, if you want God leading you and being in everything, I think it's good to put him in everything.
Exactly.
And I think it is belittled that we'll think something is small, and why bother God with that? But there's so many things that can start off like it's nothing and turn into something huge.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I thank you, Pastor Blunt, for joining us.